My intention is that we let Spirit illuminate every secret dark corner in our minds and let our hearts melt and merge into the unimaginable love and tenderness of the divine within and without. That this evening we can give ourselves so wholeheartedly to this opportunity and support each other, so every cell in our mind and body opens to know that love fully, now and forever. Amen. So as I was contemplating the title, Bowing to the Divine, I noticed that in the past my bowing used to be a bit selective, bowing to the good stuff, but not to everything else. And what does bow to the divine really mean? That we are on our hands and knees and with our head down all the time? Well, in the past, we have been living a compartmentalized spirituality where there is human and then there is divine. There's God. But when we look at Yeshua, he was fully divine, fully God. I and my Father are one, and also fully human. Lord, let this cup pass from me, but thy will be done. He knew who he was, where he came from, and where he was going. But he didn't deny his humanity. He grieved, he felt anger, sorrow, pain, all the human emotions. So to me, bowing to the divine means that I walk in reverence in this incredible life journey, whether it is joyful or painful, that I don't withdraw, but stay fully present with it all and learn to trust it deeply. I need a lot of practice because bowing is easy, but seeing what is in the way is not. Let us remember that our job is not to seek out love, but the areas within us that are blocking love. So let's look at what it took to get up that mountain that Francois climbed with his colleagues. And that is also what it takes to go deep within and live as our true self. First, there's the call to go, the willingness to answer the call, to show up fully, to give up comforts and attachments, even to surviving the journey, to take huge risks, a lot of preparation, training, and facing the hardships of the training. Also, it takes the willingness to listen and trust the divine is helping us every step of the way, even though the mind will keep inserting doubts and resistance. And it takes the willingness to face our deepest fear, even the fear of injury, sickness, and death. We need to face. And then only a few were chosen out of all the applicants. There were a ton of applicants and only a very few were chosen. And out of those very few that were chosen, only a few made it to the top. Only a few. And Francois said it wasn't the ones you would have expected would make it. So those few got stripped and cleansed. They got taken all the way, not just to the mountaintop, but through the inner and outer barriers to the heart of the divine. What did they all have in common? They relied not on their own powers alone. They relied on divine power and guidance. And that too comes from deep within us. But there are other things in us that we need to see and let go and offer up. So they bowed to God as the mountain, as the clouds, as the weather, as their bodies, as their strengths, as their weaknesses. They said yes to it all and went beyond what was humanly possible, no matter what the perceived limitations. I will take us from that mountaintop into the deep caves of the psyche to do some exploring, and I hope you are willing to go with me, even if it is not comfortable. we have an opportunity to be enriched and more connected. The more we can see of the shadow, which is simply all that within us that hasn't been fully seen and met. A false self superimposed on our true divine nature and operating from behind the scenes. So what is most important is the honesty and authenticity. So it's really, really necessary to see what is behind even our worship sometimes, to go to the depth and look at the skeletons of guilt and shame that we might still have in our closet. I'm not saying you have any, but just in case. Can we see through things to the depth? Can we truly bow to the divine in sickness and death? And I want you to have a good laugh at this. I just found it really funny. Can we bow to God when rage and hurt and shame and guilt comes up? Can we stay present with that and feel it fully? And what does that take? I got this insight. You know, when the people like Francois and the group, they climbed the mountain, it was because they wanted to. They signed up. It was by consent. But when mountains show up in our lives that we don't expect and that are really difficult and they're just kind of, really challenging us, either physically or spiritually or mentally or emotionally, we automatically resist it and we don't want it because we didn't consent to it. We didn't sign up for that. But then I had to go deeper with this insight and I realized, oh my goodness, I just forgot that I consented. I, as spirit, consented to this life, I believe, with every detail in it, with every gruesome and joyful detail in this life unfolding. I believe as spirit, as a little angel, I consented to it completely. And I was looking forward to it, kind of like Francois. And I didn't realize how hard it would be and that I would forget that. And then when we feel helpless and we feel like a victim, then we start resisting. And it's really, that's what creates the suffering, is the resistance to things as they are. Because we forgot we gave consent. And we as spirit consent to everything, every gruesome thing here, because we are here to experience and to enrich our hearts and train our minds. There are some quotes Leonard Cohen sings in a song. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. Isn't that beautiful? And then this quote is by someone else. If you have no shadow, you are not in the light. So my next question, of course, was, what is our internal shadow? What does it look like? And how do we make friends with it? What was your biggest obstacle in your relationship with the divine, in your bowing to the divine without reservation? My biggest one was hopelessness, that childlike notion that the divine could really not help me because I didn't deserve the closeness. That was a real deep hidden belief. I didn't deserve it. And then basically when we have that feeling we don't deserve something, we disempower God because God is within us. God is that which just is the presence. It listens.